Hey folks, welcome to a brand new episode of Smart Money. Now I have a very special guest joining me today. She's a YouTube sensation with over 1.5 million subscribers, and many of her educational videos on various topics of the stock market and the financial markets have garnered millions of views. The basics of stock market video of hers has seen more than 9 million views as of now. She started off as a lecturer, she went on to become an investor, and she has pursued her passion, been a long-term investor for over 12 years, and now is furthering the cause of financial education through the YouTube platform. Let me welcome the very popular Rachna Ranade to our show today. Rachna, thank you so much for speaking to us on CNBC TV 18. This is your first television interview. Of course, you've spoken on YouTube multiple times, but how do you feel?
Wow, I am getting goosebumps right now, but I'm feeling very awesome at the same time. I had mentioned this on my social media handle as well. Like when I started investing in stock market way back in 2006, I used to watch CNBC TV 18. That was the first ever TV channel that I started to see which was related to stock markets. Never ever in my wildest dream had I thought that maybe 14 years later I would be on this same TV show.
Okay, so congratulations, but you've done really well for yourself. I was just talking about how you have a huge fan following on YouTube. You've sort of monetized your platform as well. We have a lot of millennial young crowd watching us on our channel and on our shows. If you had to give them some advice on how to take their passion and monetize their content on YouTube, how did you make this transition?
I'll be very honest with you, Sonia, that there are many people who started their YouTube channels during the lockdown. So like number of Demat accounts shot up during the lockdown, same way even YouTube channels shot up. But as and how things started getting back to routine, I think the number of active Demat have gone down. Similarly, the number of active YouTubers have also somewhere gone down. So I think you should do something which you feel that you can do for a longer period of time. You should do it only and only if it is your passion. Don't follow someone else blindly, because I could see so many people that, hey, Rachna is doing this, XYZ is doing this, let me try it out my way as well. So you should have that absolute passion for doing YouTube videos. You need a lot of consistency to do YouTube videos. So for example, I post a video every Wednesday, every Saturday without fail. Number 3, you have to give quality content. You have to differentiate yourself from others. That's where you will be standing out as compared to others. And if you are following these 2-3 basic things, then, well, there are so many ways to monetize your channel. Just to give you 1 or 2 quick examples. Number 1, you will get advertisement revenue. Number 2, you can get revenue from merchandise once you start becoming known to many people. Number 3, you can also enable memberships on your channel. So it's like you ask for paid subscriptions from your members. One very interesting way to monetize your YouTube channel can also be enabling supers or monetizing the super chats on your channel.
Okay.
I'll just give you a quick example on that as well. So when I was doing a live stream for Burger King IPO, that was like an amazing live stream, an amazing experience that I had. There were almost more than 10,000 people who were watching me live on that day. And the questions were running up at such a huge speed that I was not able to read even a single comment.
Okay.
So if a viewer wants to grab my attention, that's where he gives a paid chat for me. So I got a paid chat saying that, hey, you are doing a good job. So feels good when even if people are giving you $1,000, but just for saying that, hey, you are doing a good job, feels really good.
Okay,
so that's also another way to monetize your channel.
This is very exciting, but I want to ask you, Rachna, now social media has become a very cluttered space, don't you think? How do you differentiate? Because you said that a lot of your stuff is, you need to subscribe to get sort of your content, but there's so much free stuff available online as well. So A, how do you differentiate? And B, what would your tips be? Okay, we'll do one thing. We'll just sort of get chatting with Rachna in a bit. But as you heard her say, she's been a YouTube sensation, 1.5 million subscribers. And of course, her basics of stock market, video that she's put out has got almost 9 million views on YouTube and a whole host of subscribers as well. I'm going to talk to her about many issues. One is she's been an investor in the market for over, I think, 12 to 15 years now. So I'm going to ask her what are her tips tips for people who are getting started in this investment arena. And I'm also going to talk to her about how she picks multi-baggers. All right, Rachna, I think you're back with us. So let me just once again ask you that question, if you can hear me well. Okay, great. I was asking you about how this is a very cluttered space, right? Social media is so cluttered, and you are charging for a lot of your products as well. A, how do you differentiate from this cluttered space? And B, given that there's so much free information out there, do people really subscribe?
Yeah, so I'll tell you how I pitch for it. I always tell all my subscribers, I always tell all my viewers that everything and anything is available free of cost online. But the problem is that there is so much that you don't know exactly what is to be consumed on the net. So if you have so much on the plate, you really get confused that if I have limited space to eat, what out of this entire thing am I going to consume? Similarly, I tell them that if you enroll for my courses, if you enroll for my memberships, I'll be giving you only that much knowledge which will help you to enter the stock markets, which will bring up your confidence to the next level if you were to start your investment journey. And the foremost important thing I feel is that I tell them that I don't sell knowledge, I sell simplified knowledge. That's where I feel I have a little bit of upper hand, because being in the teaching space for like more than 10 years, I feel I have the ability to simplify concepts to the masses.
Okay, simplified knowledge. I think that's what everyone wants these days, right? So you've worn your hat as a YouTuber, you've worn your hat as a teacher, but now wear your hat as an investor. You've been investing in the market for over a decade now, if I'm not wrong. How do you pick stocks? I mean, that is the ultimate question that everyone wants the answer to, right? How do you identify wealth creators?
Again, I'll tell you that when we hear of stories, people would say that I bought MRF when it was like whatever in few hundred rupees. I bought Infosys when it was in few hundred rupees. But being very honest, I feel very few retailers, the retail individual investors, they'll be very handful who will be able to pick up a stock at the very initial stage of the journey. And even if they pick up stocks at the initial phase of the journey, let us say they pick 10, not all 10 might be able to take off. Out of 10, barely 1 or 2 might be able to take off. So I always tell the retail individual investors that don't pick up stocks when they're too early, when these stocks are not visible to people. Try to pick them up when they have proven themselves a little bit. That's where the chances of you losing out on money at least reduces. You might not get a 10x multi-bagger. I feel that as a retail individual investor, I'm really happy even if I get a 2x returns on stocks. So what I do typically is I prefer a top to bottom approach. I would do an economy analysis followed by industry analysis and then the company analysis. So in the current scenario, if I'm talking about, I would say that, okay, because now we are in a scenario where we have a strong news that the vaccine is coming up, then I would just try to think through that which industries would be getting benefited out of this. If I were to think from the economy perspective, I would try to check out the demography of our country right now. Does it suit that industry or not? I would try to correlate it. And once I drill down to a specific industry, then I would go ahead with choosing a company. Okay. And you know, typically we use this concept actually for banks, but I try to use this for other companies as well. The camel model. So many of you might be knowing this, but C stands for the capital adequacy. I would just say check out the capital structure. Then A stands for the asset quality. Then M stands for the management quality. E stands for the earnings visibility. And for L also, you can check out how much is the liability position. L of course has multiple interpretations, but that's how you can choose down or drill down to a specific company for choosing a multi-bagger. 1 or 2 small points which I generally try to check up is ideally they should be having a monopoly in that space or at least less competition in the space. And if they are like the leaders in that segment, then nothing like it.
Okay, the camel model, that's very, very good to, I mean, especially for someone who's just starting off, right? These are some benchmarks that one should follow. But since you said that you've mastered the art of simplified knowledge, simplify some ratios for us. Everyone talks about debt equity, everyone talks about price to earnings. What's the 1 or 2 ratios that you definitely look at, and what's your marker, what's your filter?
Okay, so the first and foremost ratio that I always check out while filtering out companies is ROE or ROCE. So if you are talking about investing in a company, if I were the owner of the company and if I'm not able to generate even 5% returns out of the company, then might as well I invest my money in fixed deposits. So 5% for an ROE I feel is like very less. If I'm investing in any company, then I'm risking out my money a little bit. So I would expect at least twice or thrice returns from as compared to an FD. So I would go ahead with a minimum 15% ROE. Similar case, I would check for ROCE. So any company which doesn't meet this criteria, it doesn't come up in my filtering list also. So that is the first benchmark I check for. Second, I also check out how much is the free cash flow. I know it's not a ratio as such, but other than ratios, that's what I give utmost importance to, because I've seen companies which have good operating cash flows, but because they have very less free cash flows, I feel over the longer term, let's say 3 years, 4 years back to back, they are having very low or negative free cash flows. I feel that somewhere they are struggling with managing the funds, and that company might not perform well in the future. So I prefer to stay away from such companies which have negative or very low operating cash flows or even free cash flows. Apart from these two things, third and the last thing which I would like to tell you is I definitely try to check out the valuation ratios, PE ratio, PB ratio, EV, EBITDA. I would check price to sales. So I think all these ratios help me as an individual investor to see whether the stock is pricey or not right now. If I feel like it's very expensive, I would better stay away from the company. I know there's no standard benchmark, but typically comparing it with peers or comparing it with the industry average would help me to take an informed decision.
Okay, I must say, Rachna, for someone who's appearing on television for the first time, you're mighty confident. I mean, I don't think anyone will look at your interview and say that this is your first television appearance. But I have many more questions for you lined up, and I also want to ask you about how you stumbled upon this YouTube, sensation that you've made of yourself. And was it planned or did it just happen? But all that and more lined up on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. The most engaging conversation on Smart Money coming up in just a bit. Welcome back to Smart Money. We have the most engaging conversation with YouTube sensation Rachna Ranade. She's been telling us about how she's furthering the cause of financial education on the YouTube platform and how she's picking multi-bagger stocks as well. Rachna, I'm going to talk about your stock ideas, case studies in a bit. But before that, I had a question. Did you just stumble upon the YouTube and social media as a platform, or was it something that you had planned given the research that you did?
I was, as I mentioned, I cleared CA in 2009, and since then I had a passion for teaching. So like many friends of mine were asking me at that time, Rachna, you cleared CA in the very first attempt. You can get a nice fat salary if you join some MNC or if you join the big 4 CA firms. Why not try out for that? But I said that doesn't interest me a lot. So I would try to follow my passion. That should be my first priority. So right after I became a CA, I started teaching CA students. Then I started teaching MBA students. And after the class, many a times it used to happen that students used to wait back for me, and I used to ask that, ma'am, you have been investing in stock market. Could you also share us some knowledge about the stock markets? So I used to give some basic, small concepts. I used to teach them very, very small concepts. It can be as smaller as something like BSE, NSE, both are stock exchanges, but students feel that BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange, will obviously be in Bombay, but National Stock Exchange, they would feel that that is in Delhi because of the word national. Okay. So starting from such layman, such basic concepts, I used to take them up to kind of advanced concepts.
Yeah.
But at one point of time, so many students started requesting me that, ma'am, please conduct a separate session on stock markets for us.
Okay.
So that's how I thought that let me at least maybe announce a batch of students wherein I would tell them all the concepts which a beginner should know. So that's how I coined 67 different concepts about stock market, and I titled this as the basics of stock market, a beginner's guide for a person who wants to enter the stock market. I shot that entire series, and the very first lecture was the one which is on YouTube and which has 8 million plus views. So when I got that entire series recorded,
sure,
one of my friends suggested me, why not put it on YouTube? But he suggested me that, break it into 10-15 minutes small parts, because YouTube people won't consume a huge content like a 1.5 hour content. But I said I won't be spending money. I'm a typical Sadashiv Pethi person from Pune who would hate spending money.
Okay, Rachna, I'm gonna cut you short. I mean, that's a great story. I'm going to cut you short because we don't have too much time, and I want to squeeze in some questions on how you pick individual stocks, right? So, if you had to identify one or two case studies for us, stocks that you spotted at the right time, which ones would they be?
I feel one of my favorites is Jubilant FoodWorks, and the second one would be Polycabs. I'll talk one after the other. Is it okay if I go back to back on both these stocks?
Sure. I'll let you know when we run out of time, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So the very first one I had picked up was Jubilant FoodWorks. It's in the QSR space, which is the quick service restaurant space. Again, as I mentioned, I try to go from the bottom to top. Right now, if you see that the median age of Indians is somewhere below 28 years of age. All these young people are going to, the pace at which people eat outside is definitely increasing, and it is going to increase further as well. The number of working women are increasing, and thereby women cooking in the house is also slowly going to drop down, and that's why outing is something which is going to increase. People are going to give less time to eat and relax for a long time, so they would want quick restaurants which are serving them food. So that's how I identified the industry as such. And in the industry, if you're checking out, there are hardly any competitors. Of course, the Westlife Development is also listed, but if you're talking only about pizzas, Jubilant was the only listed restaurant which is in the QSR space serving pizzas. So that's how I drilled down to the company.
Okay.
Even if you check, the top line growth was wonderful. Their operating profit margins were good. The way in which they were introducing more and more products, like they started with Domino's Pizza, then they moved on to Dunkin' Donuts. They continuously were increasing their brands. Even during the lockdown, the management was on their toes, closing down restaurants which were not in profits. They were trying to even open up new restaurants wherever they felt it is necessary. They also charged for delivery. So I think how much management is reactive to the situations also is one of the criteria which I try to look at. So Jubilant was one of the picks that I was trying to identify since 2017. I finally picked it up in 2018, and today I'm sitting on more than 100% returns. I would again get back to the first point which I mentioned. As a retail individual investor, I feel 2x is more than enough for me. I'm not very keen on 10x, 11x because I don't think I have patience to hold on for such a longer time.
I think you echo the sentiment. Yeah, you echo the sentiment of so many retail investors, because I think there comes a point when you're like, okay, fine, enough. I don't want to overstay my welcome. But quickly tell me, we don't have too much time. If you had to give one piece of advice to all the viewers right now, what would your advice be? Because I see that that energy in you to not just create content but to even further this whole investment drive, right? What would your advice be to people watching you now?
Yeah. My advice would be that invest only in something which you understand. For example, many people ask me, Rachna, why don't you invest in Bitcoins? I say, I don't understand that. If I don't understand it, I won't invest in it. So for all, even those who are housewives, you understand FMCG sector so well. I don't think then in such a case, if you are consuming Britannia biscuits, why not invest in that company? If you are going to DMart every now and then, why not invest in that company? Be the owner of the company, take 100% care to ensure that you are giving some contribution to the top line by buying the products of the company. So that can be a small piece of advice. Invest into companies which you understand.
Okay, invest into companies which you understand. And where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Still a YouTuber, or do you plan to sort of transition to bigger things?
I'm not sure whether this is really going to happen or not, but after YouTubing, so YouTube is currently a platform which has multiple areas. So like fashion is on YouTube, finance is on YouTube, anything and everything is on YouTube. But maybe I feel that somewhere, some years down the line, there may be specialized platforms as well. So maybe you can have something like, I don't know what the name will be, but a YouTube for finance only, a YouTube for fashion only, something like that. So if that thing is what I see might come up in the next few years, if that be so, I would be trying to go in that space as well, specializing in that field, trying to spread more and more financial literacy in the simplified way through specialized platforms.
Okay, it was, I must tell you, it has been one of the best Smart Money episodes that at least I have anchored in a long time. There's so much to learn from you, Rachna.
wow.
And I hope you continue to further your dream, further the whole, further investor education, because that's something that you've been doing in several platforms, not just YouTube. You've been training people, you're a lecturer and you're an investor as well, wearing so many hats. All the best and thanks so much for joining us on Smart Money.
Thanks a lot, Sonia. It was wonderful talking to you.
Okay, with that, it is curtains down on another very successful episode of Smart Money. But keep watching CNBC TV 18. Lots more coming up in just a bit.